December 1799. Mount Vernon sits wrapped in icy shadows. The hero of American independence chokes on his own throat, gasping for cold winter air. George Washington is dying. But his doctors do not fear the infection choking his lungs. They fear the bad humors trapped within his veins. Blind arrogance enters the sick room with a gleaming brass lancet. To save the father of a nation, they will open his skin and release the life flowing inside. The harvest begins. The medical dogma of the 18th century is absolute. Galenic theory dictates that illness is imbalance, and blood is the fuel of fever. Dr. James Craik, Washington's trusted friend, arrives with absolute conviction. He does not see an inflamed larynx. He sees an excess of crimson fluid poisoning the body. The first incision is swift. Dark blood streams into a porcelain bowl, steaming in the cold room. They believe they are draining death. They are draining his survival. Hours pass, but the suffocating throat does not yield. Washington grows weaker, his pulse fluttering like a trapped moth. The doctors consoled in low whispers under the dim candlelight. Their response to failing medicine is not caution, but escalation. More lancets are drawn. A second incision drains another pint, then a third. Cadaverous particles of ancient myth guide their hands. Blood coats the floorboards, soaking into the rugs of Mount Vernon. The cure becomes the executioner. Desperation thickens the air like heavy miasma. They turn to secondary horrors. Blistering beetles are applied to his raw throat, burning skin to draw out bad humors. When the lancets prove too slow, black medicinal leeches are pressed against his flesh. The squirming parasites feast on what little vitality remains. Over 40% of Washington's total blood volume is drained in less than 12 hours. 2 liters of life discarded in pewter basins. The room reeks of iron and copper. Washington knows the end is near. He raises a trembling hand and whispers his final command to stop the torture. "Let me go off quietly," he pleads through a closed throat. But the medical heresy is complete. Deprived of oxygen and stripped of the blood needed to fight the infection, his heart gives out under extreme shock. At 10 o'clock at night, the Titan falls. The country mourns a president, unaware that his healers delivered the fatal blow. The shadow darkens. The silence after the death is suffocating. Washington lies cold, his pale skin a testament to the brutal, misguided practice that failed him. The medical fraternity of 1799 did not see a blunder. They saw fate. They clung to archaic rituals, ignoring the reality of the damage inflicted by their own blades. As the funeral bells tolled across a grieving nation, the price of immortality was paid in full. The myth of the heroic doctor began to fracture under the weight of this loss. Epiglottitis was the hidden thief, an airway obstruction that required oxygen, not depletion. By draining 2 liters of blood, the physicians guaranteed cardiac failure. They treated a bacterial intrusion as a systemic corruption of humors. This was not science. It was a ritualistic slaughter fueled by blind arrogance. History remembers the man, but often forgets the lethal irony of his final hours. Medicine was still drowning in the dark miasma of the medieval past. Decades passed before the veil of ignorance finally lifted. The scientific revolution began to bleed into the operating theater, replacing the lancet with observation and evidence. Scientists peered through microscopes, discovering a world invisible to the eye. Bacteria. The realization was terrifying. We were not fighting spirits or imbalanced humors. We were under constant siege by microscopic invaders. The age of the bloodletting heresy was coming to a grinding, necessary halt. Then the miracle arrived in a petri dish. Alexander Fleming noticed a strange mold killing his cultures, a silent executioner that could serve humanity. Penicillin was forged from decay. It was the weapon against the very infection that took Washington. Where the 18th century doctors used knives to destroy, modern science used chemistry to preserve. The evolution from superstition to molecular biology was paved with corpses. We learned only when we had nothing left. Today, we understand the body as a fortress. We need blood to transport oxygen, to power the cells against internal and external threats. We no longer rely on the leech to purge the soul. Yet the price of immortality remains high. Every antibiotic prescribed is a battle won against the miasma. But the war is never truly finished. We conquered the lancet, but we still fear the unseen. The past is never dead. It breathes down our necks, waiting for the next lethal error. The memory of Mount Vernon lingering in shadow reminds us of the fragility of medical truth. Doctors of that era were not monsters, but men trapped in a box of their own making. Their absolute authority was their greatest sin. They believed that purging blood restored purity, failing to see that blood was the light keeping the shadow at bay. The slow death of George Washington exposed the rot at the heart of the old guard. A turning point had been reached in blood and tears. Consider the physical reality of the blood loss inflicted upon the president. Draining 2 liters reduces blood volume by nearly half, causing hypovolemic shock. The heart races to pump what little fluid remains, starving the brain of precious oxygen. Tissue dies rapidly from within. The patient does not slip away peacefully. They suffocate in horror as their vital organs fail one by one. The lancet did not cure the infection. It simply executed the engine of life itself. How many thousands perished under the quiet bite of the scalpel before anyone dared to question the ritual? For centuries, bloodletting was the supreme dogma, a dark cure-all applied to every ailment from smallpox to insanity. The cadaverous particles of ancient error were passed down through generations of proud physicians. To challenge the practice was to risk social excommunication and professional ruin. Ignorance was safe, while innovation was viewed as heresy. The dawn of modern hematology brought a stark revelation to light. Blood was not a vector for evil humors, but a complex transport system carrying cellular armies. White blood cells are designed to hunt and destroy bacterial pathogens in the bloodstream. By draining Washington's blood, his doctors were actively disarming his body's primary defensive force. They pulled down the walls of the fortress from within, handing victory directly to the microscopic enemy. The transition from medieval darkness to modern laboratory was marked by thousands of casualties. Every broken theory laid a stone in the foundation of modern medicine. When we look at a sterile syringe today, we see the ghost of the brass lancet whispering in the dark. We survived the miasma of bloodletting, but the arrogance of absolute certainty remains our most dangerous virus. The lesson of Mount Vernon must never be forgotten by those who claim to heal. It was Pierre Louis in the 1830s who delivered the first mathematical blow to this dark art. Using early clinical statistics, the French physician proved that bloodletting did not reduce mortality in pneumonia patients. It actually increased it. For the first time, cold numbers shattered centuries of sacred medical dogma. The lancet began to drop from trembling hands across Europe and America. Science demanded proof over prestige, ending the reign of the blood harvest. Yet, breaking free from old illusions required more than numbers. The human mind craves control in the presence of death. Draining blood gave physicians the illusion of action while the patient slipped away. They mistook the sudden pallor and sudden drop in fever for recovery, when it was merely the body entering hypovolemic collapse. This fatal misinterpretation kept the leech on the payroll for far too long. The price of immortality was paid in quiet suffering. Compare that cold room in 1799 to a modern intensive care unit dealing with severe bacterial infection. Today, targeted antibiotics eradicate pathogens while intravenous fluids stabilize pressure. Blood is guarded as the ultimate life-giving resource, carefully transfused rather than wasted in pewter bowls. We no longer wage war on the patient's own body. The scalpel is held back, used only when precision demands it, guided by imagery rather than dark superstition. The tragedy of George Washington stands as a monumental warning carved into the history of human medicine. A leader who survived British bullets and brutal winters was ultimately slain by his own trusted healers in his home. His death accelerated a slow, painful awakening in American medical circles. The realization dawned that unchecked authority without empirical proof is a weapon as deadly as any bayonet. The miasma of unquestioned doctrine was finally exposed. As we look back at the brass instruments rusted in velvet boxes, we must ask ourselves a haunting question. What current medical treatments will the future view as barbaric? What dark practices are we performing today under the guise of modern progress? The arrogance of certainty is a recurring disease. The ghosts of Mount Vernon still whisper through the corridors of history, reminding us that the line between cure and executioner is paper thin. The price of immortality is paid not only in blood, but in the slow surrender of our most cherished dogmas. The death of a titan like Washington forced a civilization to confront its own blind spots. It proved that nobility, power, and wealth offer no shield against the ignorance of one's own era. The brass lancet became a symbol of tragedy, a solemn reminder that good intentions, when divorced from scientific truth, inevitably pave the highway straight into the abyss. In the shadows of history, every progress is bathed in red. Thousands of nameless patients faded into eternity, sacrificed on the altar of the four humors before the tide finally turned. Their silent suffering built the foundation upon which modern clinical trials stand today. We do not honor their memory by pretending the past was gentle. We honor them by relentless scrutiny, testing every theory, and refusing to let ancient myths dictate the value of human life. Today, the cold room at Mount Vernon remains quiet, frozen in the dim light of December 1799. The pewter basins have been washed away, but the miasma of that fateful night still lingers in our collective memory. It serves as a stark reminder of the fragile boundary between care and harm. The infection took Washington's voice, but the treatment robbed him of his breath. History records the time of death, but science records the bitter lesson left behind. We step out of the dark operating theater of the past and into the blinding light of modern cellular biology. The leech is replaced by precision pharmacology, the bloodletting blade by targeted therapies. Yet the ghost of blind arrogance continues to walk the pristine halls of modern medicine. The moment a healer believes they hold absolute truth is the exact moment the lancet begins to slip once more into the shadow. Caution is our only true antidote. George Washington sought relief from a burning throat and found execution at the hands of those he trusted most. His final sacrifice exposed the lethal flaw of an unexamined tradition, reshaping the course of medical ethics forever. As the shadows close over this chapter of Morbid Medicine, remember, the past is a mirror reflecting our own frailties. Seek the truth, question the dogma, and never forget the steep price paid for our survival. Until the next darkness. Thank you for traveling back to this dark era with us. What part of medical history shocked you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and share it with other history lovers. This was Morbid Medicine, and we will see you in our next Dark Archive.